Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhakti Steps. We'll continue with Bhagavad Gita reading. There are prayers on the screen. You can repeat with me. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shivtapatagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Tam Sajivam. साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान विधांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन मंजुगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोसुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome to Bhakti Steps. We will continue from where we had stopped. That was, we had stopped at the 30th verse of the 13th chapter. Okay. Okay. So with this vision, what do we achieve? What is achieved by having this vision of seeing the soul, the Paramatma everywhere? That is the next topic that Krishna takes. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities means, oh, he's man, woman, different bodies, due to different bodies. Because there are different bodies, now there are different identities. If somebody gives up that kind of vision and he sees that they are all spirit souls inside a body, in that body there is Paramatma also. When he gets that kind of vision, then he attains to the Brahman conception of life, pure spiritual conception of life. When one can see the various bodies of living entities arise due to different desires of the individual souls and do not actually belong to the souls itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we can see someone a demigod, devata, someone a human being, a dog, cat, etc. This material vision is not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to material conception of life. After the destruction of material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with the material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision, thus being free from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc. One becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in next verses. So when he gets into this Brahman conception, he sees things. How does he see? Those with the vision of eternity. Eternity means seeing through the vision of the soul. Can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is engaged and nor is entangled. It is there in the material body, but actually the soul is just experiencing. It is not doing thing. The body is pushing it. Like yesterday we discussed, somebody in the tiger body has to behave like a tiger, but the soul has nothing to do with the tiger, right? The soul is completely different because it is there in that contact. It has to do. Hmm? So in reality, it is not entangled. It is thinking that I am entangled. But when he becomes free, then he is not at all entangled. Okay. Can someone read this section? Living entity.
Can I read the book?
Yeah, go ahead.
A living entity appears to be born because of birth of the material body, but actually the living body is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies don't entangle him.
Okay. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. The sky is everywhere around the whole earth, right? But it is not mixing with anything. Similarly, the soul is situated with the Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. So, our Atma, who has achieved the Brahman vision, the pure spiritual vision, he does not mix with the body, even though he may be sitting inside the body. The air enters water, mud, stool, whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of body, is aloof from them, and due to its subtle nature, therefore, it is impossible to see the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with the body and how he is out of it after destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. So it is very difficult to understand. The science also, modern science also cannot understand this thing. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so the living entity, with one with the body, illuminates the entire body by consciousness. So this is a very interesting verse, 1334. 1334. यथा प्रकाशयति एकः, यथा प्रकाशयति एकः कृष्णं लोकम इमं रविः. Ravi is another name of sun. क्षेत्रम क्षेत्री तथा कृष्णम प्रकाशयति भारतः. Just like sun gives prakash to everything, kshetram, one who is staying in the kshetram, he is giving prakasha to everyone. That is called as consciousness. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body by consciousness. This is the proof of soul. In a dead body, the soul is not present. So the body becomes cold and it has to be given up. Right? So if the body doesn't have any consciousness, awareness in it, if the body doesn't have any consciousness or awareness in it, then um, it is dead. So this is the proof of a living body versus dead body. So let's take example of a robot. Nowadays we are going to see robot. Robot. These kinds of robots are going to come. They also move, think, jump, walk. Right? What is the difference between robot and man and human being? They are able to almost do the same activity like a human being. Then what is the difference? Can you tell me? Hmm? This is a human being. This is the robot. He's doing a lot of activities. Some activities he can do even better than human beings. What is the difference between human being and robot then?
Don't think individually. Uh, like we
They
can
can be
think.
given a lot of processing power, AI in it to think, to come up with some solution and all that. The difference is in the consciousness between the two. The human being has consciousness in them, but the robot, it doesn't have consciousness in it. If it says it is seeing red light, it cannot really experience that red light. Okay, the way that we experience red light, the robot doesn't experience red light. Hmm? Okay. Okay. Can someone read? There are various theories.
Yes, Prabhu. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sun sign is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe. So, a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness.
Go ahead.
Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul. As sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun, when the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent male. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter, it is the symptom of living entity.
Continue reading. The consciousness of the living
Yeah,
entity.
the
Yes.
consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness.
Okay. So we discussed about consciousness. Here, one more discussion is there that we are conscious of our own body, but the Paramatma is conscious of all the bodies, which has been multiple times said. So this is very important because we discussed yesterday that there are statements in Vedas, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Sarva Kalvidam Brahma. These tend to mean that we are Brahman. We are definitely spiritual. But are we Para Brahman? Para Brahman means Super Brahman. No. So that we need to completely understand because there are people who follow this philosophy that you can become the Supreme Brahman, which is not possible. Supreme Brahman already exists. It is different. Okay. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between body and the knower of the body, material body, knower of the body, spirit soul, and inside another knower is there, super soul, Paramatma, can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature. One who gets this spiritual understanding, see, this is what is spiritual understanding. Anybody telling what is spiritual understanding, this is what it is. Then the liberation from bondage in material world attain to the supreme goal, he can then understand. Okay. Can someone read the purport of this? Someone?
Yeah, Bhakti. Can I read?
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
The purpose of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinctions between the body, the owner of the body, and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verse 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good associations to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestations, and the subtle manifestations is the mind and physiological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interactions of these features. But over and above, Over and above these, there is a soul and there is also the super soul. The soul and super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunctions of soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitutions of the whole material manifestations as these combinations of the soul and material elements and can also see the situations of the supreme soul becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are made for the contemplations and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master.
Okay. So 8 to 12, we went through 8 to 12, the items of knowledge, in which there was mention of accepting a spiritual master. Okay, Guru Ashraya. This thing is the most important thing in spiritual life. This thing will bring us success in spiritual life. To accept a spiritual master, to listen to him. And this is what Prabhupada summarizes in one line. If you want to do contemplation, want to do self-realization, you do it with the help under the guidance of spiritual master who is already perfected his life. With this, you can understand all the imports of the Vedas and you can perfect your life, achieve liberation, go back home, back to God. Okay. So before I move to 14th chapter, any question or comment? Any questions or comment before I move to 14th chapter?
Prabhu, from the exam perspective,
Hmm.
how should we prepare chapter wise, like at our end? How do we go about it while we're listening and understanding from you?
I think you should at least be understand through the translations. Okay,
Sorry, Prabhu, can you repeat? I missed it. Sorry.
meaning you can prepare. Now we are reading all the purports and all that. Exam perspective, there is a question paper already available, so you can go through that. And second thing is, just by reading the translations also you should be able to understand what is been said. Hmm?
So, Prabhu. So,
Yeah,
Prabhu, anywhere it is expected from us to write shlokas as well, or just the
I don't
translation and
think so.
understanding
I don't think so.
is enough? Okay.
Yeah, if you
Okay,
want
Prabhu.
to learn shlokas, you can definitely learn shlokas.
For me, it becomes very difficult. I can't remember, Prabhu. I
Okay,
can
okay.
understand and then give the
Hmm.
meaning, but learning shlokas is
Yeah,
like one thing
I
which I'm
don't
not
think for
able to
this
do.
exam it is there, but if you
Okay.
ever do Bhakti Shastri, then there you have to learn the shlokas and you know type it. The Sanskrit and the meaning. But for
Mm.
now, not required.
Okay, one step at a time, Prabhu.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure. Okay. So any questions or comments?
Not from my end, Prabhu.
Okay.
I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move to 14th chapter. This is a very interesting chapter. Um, in the 13th chapter, Krishna talks about three modes. Saguna. You get your body according to when one associates with the three modes of material nature. Here also he says the modes. 20 also he says transformation of modes of material nature. And this one 22 enjoying the three modes. One who can understand this philosophy, interaction of the three modes, beyond the three modes. So in 22 he talks about the three modes. The living entity in the material world thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. This is due to association with that material nature. He meets with good and evil among the various species. So now what are the three modes? How we should deal with them, how we should identify them, how we should deal them in such a way that they help us in our spiritual life, they help us in our material life, right? And they help us in spiritually advancing. Okay, so for that purpose Krishna explains the next chapter, that is the 14th chapter, which is named the three modes of material nature: Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Some things we discussed, but we'll now go deep into it. Okay. Okay. Bhagavan Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personal Godhead said, "Again I shall declare you this supreme wisdom." So this is the wisdom, great wisdom. The best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. So this wisdom was known to whom? The sages, the sadhus, the santa, the santas. The word Krishna uses here is munayaha. So the munis, the santa, the sages, they knew this knowledge. Now I'm going to give you this knowledge. Krishna is saying, knowing which you will achieve supreme perfection. This will help you in your spiritual life, basically. Okay. Okay, I'll read. From the 7th chapter to end of 12th chapter, Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality Godhead. So Krishna's biodata is talked from when 7th chapter to end of 12th chapter. Krishna's biodata. Now the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he can come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that in due to association with the modes of material nature, the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act. So now he's going to get in detail into what are those modes, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. Interesting. How they give liberation also. It is not that it is only binding, it is liberating also. It's giving moksha or taking us to moksha. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and transferred to spiritual world. So the sages have attained perfection. You know, do the sages live like us, live like you and me? If any sage that you may know, Narad Muni sage, Vyasadev, Valmiki, all these sages are there. Do they live like us, like you and me, how we are living in this world?
No, Prabhuji.
Then how do they live? What is the difference? What do they do differently and we do differently? Can you give one example?
They are preaches Krishna consciousness if any time and every time.
Okay.
Not like us,
I'm
like
talking
we are.
about like daily activity. Kind of daily activity that they do and what we do, and there's a huge difference in what they do and what we do. Just give one example.
Like family. They don't have any family like we have family.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Family we will keep aside. Vyasadev had a family. His son was Sukdev Goswami. So it is not like that. It is not like always they are unmarried. Any other example?
Prabhu, their all activity means Krishna is in the center of their
Okay, good.
activities.
Yeah, Krishna is in the center. Fine. But what like struck you the most of a sadhu? See, in our from a childhood, we are hearing some stories of sadhus, right? So, what is the striking point? One of the striking point that you must have experienced. I mean, you must have felt like, okay, this is a sadhu. I mean, he does certain things like this, and I may not do that way. This is something new for me, like that.
So we can say that they are always shant in all the condition,
Okay,
whatever the
good. Yeah, good
challenges
point.
they face, they
Hmm.
will be always in the
That is
shant
called
mode.
samatva, equanimous. Good point. Okay, that's a good point. So, like this, their life, they'll keep it very simple. They will be samatva, equanimous, and whatever happiness, distress, they'll be still, same. They won't, uh, they won't get carried away. They will, what you say is a balance. They will remain balanced, right? So, how do they do this? This is the secret. This chapter is their secret. So, we'll get into it. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. Okay, this knowledge is far superior to all knowledge, process of knowledge, thus far explained. And knowing this may attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. Okay, we have half an hour. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to transcendental nature like my own. Now, interestingly, we will achieve the nature of Krishna. How he talks, he behaves, he responds. So, if we become fixed in this knowledge, we will get his nature. Thus, established one is not born at the time of discretion or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So, when one becomes fixes in this knowledge, then he is not born. No more birth for him. And if he is to die, he won't be disturbed. Interesting points, Krishna is saying. Okay. Okay, can someone read from this point? Generally in the material world. Can someone read?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, the spiritual identity becomes formless, without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities and spiritual situations is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the distractions of the material world.
Okay. So if when one is spiritually advanced, right, he is not affected by creation, neither destruction. He knows what is happening. I am the Atma, I will never die. He knows that. So he's not worried of it. We at our stage are very afraid of death, isn't it? You and me are afraid of death. For us, we need to practice spiritual life, come to a platform, become advanced, and then we can overcome the fear of death. Okay. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. And it is that Brahman I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings. O son of Bharata. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to combination of Kshetra and Kshetragnya, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the supreme God Krishna himself. The Mahatattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation and the total substance of the material cause, in which the three modes of material nature is sometimes called Brahman. So in the Mahatattva, right, there is air, water, fire, air, ether, and these three modes are there. Okay. And when Krishna impregnates with the spirit soul, they get new bodies. The Supreme Personality impregnates the total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. We read this, right? Mahavishnu. The total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in Vedic literature. Tasmad etat Brahmar Nama Rupam Annam Tsa Jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with seeds of living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, air, and all the material energies, they constitute what is called as Mahad Brahma, or greater Brahman. The material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity, Jivatma. In material nature, the supreme nature is mixed with the will of supreme personality of Godhead, and therefore all living entities are born of this material nature. So you understand how we get these bodies? Krishna, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna sends us to this material world. It has all the 24 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, three modes, everything. And when we come in contact with that, we get new bodies. The scorpion lays eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. Because we cannot see the eggs in the rice, right, of a scorpion. Some people say, oh, it just came out of the rice. But no, the rice is not the cause. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of birth of living entity. The seed is given by Supreme Personality Godhead, and that then only seems to come out of as product of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activity, has a different body created by this material nature, so the entity can enjoy suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of manifestation of living entity in the material world. I'll complete this one also, then we'll go for discussion. It should be understood that all the species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and I am the seed giving father. Krishna is very saying, I am the seed giving father. So where it is said Krishna is father, here it is said Krishna is father. Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Mama Yonir, me, I am the source of Mahad Brahma. I am pregnant. Next verse is father verse, I think. Sarva Yoneshu Kontaya. Aham Bija Pradapita. Aham Bija Pradapita. Bija we know, right? Seed. Pradapita. There is Pati, there is Pita. Pita is, we still use this word in Hindi. Pita. Ye mere pitaji hai. Means father. So Krishna very clearly says, I am the father of everything, okay? Sarva Yoneshu. All species of life. Not just this species, that species, all species. I am the Aham Bija Pradapita. That's why, sadhus, when they write poems on Krishna, they say Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. So Krishna is father, Krishna is mother, Krishna is everything. Why? Because Krishna is grandfather also. Aham Bija Pradapita, his grandfather also. And his mother also. It's a interesting combination, Generally, a mother is separate, father is separate, but here Krishna, everything. Okay, in this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. Okay, The living entity is a combination of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet but on every planet, even on the highest, where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth, there are living entities. Okay, it's everywhere. Even in the fire, there is a living entity. There are fire bacteria. In water, definitely we know aquatics and all that. All these appearances are due to the mother material nature and Krishna's seed giving processes. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out of various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds. So go to some picture slides to understand what we have discussed. And meeting. Okay. So we know this famous picture. Dehinosam yatha de kaumaram yoram jara tata dehantar prapti dhirastatana mohite. At the time of death, the living entity moves from one body to another, just as it has moved from boyhood to youth to middle age to old. A person with this vision is not disturbed, and he can get different kinds of vehicle, either a cycle, motorcycle, or car, or aeroplane. How does one get a particular, like, let's say, we are going to buy a car. So how many of you already have a car in this meeting? Okay.
I have Prabhu. Yeah, I
Okay.
have.
Okay. I'll change my question. If we are to buy a car, which showroom we will choose? There is Tata, there is Maruti, there is Suzuki, there is Mahindra, there is BMW, Mercedes, and so many. Now, which showroom will you choose? How did you buy
Based
the car?
on the budget.
Based on the budget, right? How much money we have. Similarly, how much pious activities we had in our previous lives, that determines what kind of body is going to come. Just like it is shown here, we can see many other cars, but we can only buy one according to our budget, right? We want everything best, but still we will end up with the car that we can only buy. Getting? So our past desires and karma and all that decides, what kind of body you'll get. And our material credits that we had in our previous life, that we cannot carry over. We became rich, famous, PhD, etc. We cannot carry over all this after death. So what is karma? Karma is that action that will decide what our future reaction will be. If it is pious, impious, papa and punya, papa punya, right? Papa punya. How good we were, how bad we were. Credits won't take us to the next life. But when we talk about spiritual credits, which is in the last section of this slide, rightmost section, the spiritual credits are carried from one body to another. Material credits are not, but material consciousness is carried. But here spiritual consciousness is carried also. So what happens is, material, even if you may be a PhD in this life, next life you have to still start with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You cannot say, previous life I was PhD, I need to start with calculus. No, not possible. But it is interesting to find the spiritual life. We will start from where we had left. Interestingly. That's why we'll find, that somehow some people get attracted to spirituality so easily. Have you experienced that? Either in yourself or in someone else. They just become so quickly attracted. And they take it very seriously also. Isn't it? Like I'll tell you a story which happened many centuries ago. So there was this acharya which we know, Madhvacharya, who lived in Udupi. Okay, and he used to go around all places and take the shastras with him. So he used to have bullock carts, and they were carried by these two bulls. Now it so happened that whenever he would speak, one of the bull would raise his head and would, you know, open his ears. So if you see a bull, we'll go for an Indian bull. Indian bull. So if you see the Indian bull, wait, let's take a traditional Indian bull. This is a traditional Indian bull. See, the ears are down, right? The ears are not that up. You see? Now it ears up. You never see them, right? They have to actually pull it up, isn't it? So whenever Madhvacharya used to speak, this bull used to raise his ears up like this. Zip, zip. It is not shown here, but they used to put it up. And Madhvacharya noticed. And he said, the bull is only listening to my lecture. So some of his disciples got, envious of the bull. What the bull is listening, what he can understand. Joking. But then one day what happened is the bull got bit by a snake. And this news came to Madhvacharya. And Madhvacharya said, don't worry, nothing will happen. The snake died, the bull didn't die. So the bull lived. And then later on, bull died a natural death. And then in his next life, he took birth in a family of kings. And he became a very big warrior. And he fought many battles. And one day, after fighting a battle, winning it, and he was feeling very thirsty. So there was a pond in front of him, so he had to drink. Now, how does one drink a water from the pond? Can you tell me how do you drink from water from the pond? You may use some jug or something, or you may use your hand and then drink, right? But this person, he had a peculiar way of drinking water. The way he would drink water is he would enter into the water, and till the water reaches his mouth, he would not drink. And once it reaches the mouth, then he would start drinking. Seeing this, there was a disciple of Madhvacharya on the other side. And he looked at him and he shouted, you are drinking like a bull. Because bulls also drink. When they reach a pond, right? Do you know how they drink water? Do you know how they drink water? It's not shown here actually. See, they may bend and drink, but some bulls, the way they'll drink is till the water comes to their mouth, the level of the mouth, and then they'll drink. So this devotee shouted and said, oh, you are drinking like a bull. Just by that one statement, the soul remembered what was he in his previous life. And he walked towards that devotee and he said, are you the disciple of Madhvacharya? And he said, yes. And he surrendered to that disciple and he became an acharya in that line. So, spiritual life is that powerful. The point I want to make is material life took him to become a king and all that. But spiritual life, and what was the spiritual life? He just heard from his spiritual master. Did he ever understood anything? But no, but he eagerly heard anything. Just by that, he was saved in his next life. And he became a great acharya in that life, in the lineage. So spiritual credits remain. Material credits, they get destroyed. Or, yeah. Any question or comment? Any question or comment?
Prabhuji, then why it takes so much time to get to the devotional life? Like some person get from very beginning from his life, the devotional life, and some people took 20 years, 30 years to get the devotional life. So why is that, Prabhuji? Because of karma or like or
It's
anything?
because of the desire of the soul. See, right now also we are desiring spiritual life, but our family members, our friends, so many people around us, are they desiring? They may live next to the ISKCON temple, or they may live to next to Tirupati. They may live next to any holy place, but they are not interested in spiritual life. Have you seen such people?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Krishna says you have come so near, but you are not interested, so you will take time. And this person is
Is it
also
because of Sukriti, Prabhuji?
what? Sorry.
This is for Sukriti. This is called
They'll get
because
Sukruti, of course, they'll get Sukruti, but uh, personal desire is also important. No? Personal desire is also important. You can bring a horse to drink water, but then the horse has to drink it, na? Isn't it?
yes, Prabhuji. Mhm.
Like, you have children. You can put a plate of food in front of him, but the child has to eat it, na? Right? So the soul also has to do personal endeavor towards Krishna. Then only um, then only there is some chance of advancement. Okay, that personal endeavor should be there. Just like this bull, did he understood the shastras? No, but he understood one thing, that whenever the acharya spoke, I need to listen, and he listened. That was enough for him. So that's why when we get in contact with devotees, and with the advanced devotee and a pure devotee, we have to be very careful, because those are the chances of accelerating our spiritual life fast, super fast, bullet train. So not everyone does that, isn't it? Not everyone does that. People are distracted by this material world. We are also distracted. We are also still devotees. We are practicing devotees, but we are distracted. They are even more distracted, right? They are more distracted than us. We are kind of less distracted, but so point is, we should reduce this distraction, because what happens is, if we say live with this distraction and we practice Krishna consciousness, this distraction remains in our mind. We are not able to give it up. Okay. Next life we will start with, we will be given opportunities for Krishna consciousness, definitely, but then we have these desires within our body. So Krishna will allow, okay, fulfill these desires. So just like this devotee bull, he had desires of being a bull, and being a king and all that. So he took birth in that family, and till he met a devotee, he was acting like a king. The moment he met a devotee, he understood, no, I am the bull of Madhvacharya. So desires, right? We should slowly, gradually give up certain desires. Does this help, Mataji? Does this answer your question? Any more question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So the way we'll move for this chapter is, we will go through this particular table. This table is the three modes. So these modes are called as chain. Okay. Before the chain, one more thing I need to discuss. You can see everyone is having a different suit. The three people here, they are having different suit. Now if I tell who will be the fastest runner among them, so can you tell me who will be the fastest runner? Left one, middle one, right one. Who will be able to run the fast? Tell me, who will be able to run fast among these three? You can see on the screen, right?
Yes, Guruji.
Who will run? Who will be able to swim fastly?
By seeing on the picture, we can tell that who will run fast or
Who will be
swim.
left, middle, right? What is so difficult here? You think the right one will be able to run faster? Yes, no?
No, no problem.
Yeah. So in this case, we see that the left one has more flexibility, agility, and all that. Right one has different ability. If he can swim, she can float. He has more protection. So every suit that we see here has a disadvantage and advantage, right? So this is like the bodies we get: human body, animal body, man body, woman body, aquatics body. Some advantage, some disadvantage. And in this body, human body, we have these three modes: sattva, rajas, tamas. They are driving us to do certain things in a certain way. Hmm? Rajas means passion, tamas means ignorance, sattva means goodness. A combination of these three will be there in our body, and it will drive our mind, intelligence, senses in that particular direction. When children are born, generally children are in mode of passion because they want to explore, they want to run and all that, right? Very rarely we see children who are shanta sabhav, isn't it? Most of the time they are passionate only. They'll cry, they'll they will make tantrums, create tantrums, and what all they will do, isn't it? So that time we know the mode of passion is more in them: agitating, anxiety, passion, egotism, excitement, isn't it? Don't you see that in children, your own children? Yes, no?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
yes.
Yeah. So predominantly mode of passion is there. As they grow, some passion reduces and all that. You may see some sattva, or sometimes you may not see that sattva, you only see rajas and tamas, right? So it is like they are born with these qualities. That's what Krishna is explaining. You're born with this rajas tamas and sattva rajas tamas combination. But the interesting part is you can do two things. One is you can harness the power of the three, and second is you can make things better for you. It is not like you will be remained caught by these three modes. No, you can do something by which you can reduce the rajas and tamas and increase the sattva. You can do that, and that's what the sages do. Hmm? So goodness, passion, ignorance. So sattva, rajas, tamas. Sattva, as the name suggests, goodness. So here it will be pure, illuminating, without sinful reaction. Rajas will be born out of desire, lust, too much hankering. Ignorance will be um, delusion, moha. Goodness will be characterized by knowledge. One will seek knowledge, one will seek happiness. Rajas will be passionate work. What is there in it for me? And tamas will be indolence, insanity, sleep. Sattva will be happy, rajas will always be active like children, and tamas will be helpless, sleepy. There are many more things. All the gates in the body will be illuminated. There'll be in rajas, it will be great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, hankering, darkness, inertia, madness, illusion in tamas. Now, how to remember all these three things? Very simple. I'll give you a very simple formula. You'll be able to remember. So everyone knows the story of Ramayana, right?
Yes.
Now it's a story. There are brothers are there. Okay, in Ramayana there are many brothers. So now tell me how many brothers are there?
4.
4 brothers. Okay, can you name them?
Rama, Lakshmana, Satrughna, Bharat.
Any more brothers in Ramayana?
Lavkush,
Any more?
Bali and Sukhdev.
Any more? Hint. 3 brothers. These are 3 brothers in Ramayana. Story of Ramayana.
Prabhu, Ravan, Vibhishan, and Kumbhakarna.
Yeah. Raman, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan. Out of this, we are only going to focus on 3 brothers. Now, these 3 brothers represent 3 modes of material nature. What are the 3 modes? Sattva, which is goodness. Rajas, which is passion. Tamas, which is ignorance. Tell me, these are the brothers that we are going to focus. These 3 brothers. Who lies in what?
Sattva is Bibhishan,
Sattva is Vibhishan. Okay. Rajas,
Rajas, Ravan,
Rama. And Tamas,
and Kumbhakarna.
Kumbhakarna. This is how we need to remember 3 modes of material nature. If we want to find what all goodness should be there, we should look at Vibhishan. If what all passion should be there, we should look at Ravana. What all tamas should be there, we should look at Kumbhakarna. Too much of sleep, too much of passion, hankering desire, not satisfied with one wife. He tortured so many women. Finally, he tortured Sita, but Sita became a noose around his neck and killed him. Rajas, sorry, Sattva, goodness, Vibhishan. He was the wise person. He saw that Ravana is going to be killed finally, and Ravana insulted him, so he went and joined Ram. Okay, he was a devotee. He lived a very balanced life. All this we'll discuss, but this is how we need to remember 3 modes of material nature. Does this help?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, so let's open up for some question or comment. Any questions or comment? I will stop here. Any question
No,
or comment?
no, Prabhu, not from my side.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. Clear.
Okay. We'll stop here.